Hey, so it's me, Ben again, or GNC Centric. I still have a cold. It's the same day that I made my last two YouTube videos. I guess I'm just on a roll. I'm just gonna keep making videos. So I was watching that Peak Resilience Project video about social media, and one of the people mentioned having very close friends that they made through social media, and one of them mentioned that they were mostly lurking and didn't have many friends on social media. So I thought I'd make a video about the most influential friends I made through social media. I still have a cold, so my voice or I'm sneezing or something. I'm sorry. Um, so like I said before in my other videos, I was really a loner when I was a tween or teen. I read alone a lot at school. I didn't have a lot of friends. I felt very different than the other children. So yeah, I was pretty isolated. So making friends online in an environment I could control was really nice for me. So the first close friend I made online was a guy named Fred. I'm using pseudonyms for this video. He was Australian. He was a year older than me. He was bi or pan, and he went to a special school for children with like mental disorders or issues because he was like constantly suicidal. So he lived in Australia. So I remember every morning on the way to school, in what was like 8 a.m. for me, it was like 8 p.m. for him. So we'd be like, I'd be texting him in the morning, and he'd be like, "Oh hey, what's up? I'm about to start watching Netflix or whatever." Um, he was somebody that I had to like talk down from suicide a few times. He was somebody that if I was having a panic attack, I could text him, and he'd be able to be supportive and friendly. Um, Around 16, as I mentioned in my other video, I was sexting with like adults, so it didn't seem that crazy to me that I should sext with him. And so we would talk about like kinks and whatever, and we would sext. And at this point in my life, like the gay erotica and gay novels I was reading was like so kinky. It had so much BDSM and stuff. I remember 2 times that I was sexting with him, and the stuff I was saying was like so violent and so like aggressive that he literally was like, "This is making me uncomfortable. I have to stop. We'll talk to you later." And I remember being like, I thought 2 things. I thought either I'm really fucked up, more fucked up than most people, or I need to find my people, which was kind of what brought me to join FetLife eventually. So yeah, Fred was an important friend of mine for like a year and a half. He eventually became really like, we had like a codependent relationship, and he was pretty manipulative emotionally. I don't think he realized it, but it wasn't healthy. Um, a few months before I kind of like stopped talking to him, I became friends with this um, other guy I mentioned in my last video also, this Dom. I'm just gonna call him Dom. It's a good pseudonym. Uh, so he was older, ex-military, married. He had been in like the kink community in a really big American city. He he'd been to circuit parties and stuff that I had like read about, but I'd never known anybody who'd done it. So I could ask him about stuff like that. Like he gave me really good advice that at the time I thought he was trying to coddle me, but now I realized he was trying to protect me. Like there's the whole thing of signing contracts in the kink community. He told me like if anybody ever wants to be your dom and they like ask you to sign a contract, he's like, make sure there's nothing in there that can be used against you, or just don't sign it, because people who are that particular probably they want to hurt you. And he knew people who had been hurt in the community, and he was very critical of it, and he basically just told me like, look into it if you want to, but be careful, and I'm here for you. So he actually kind of protected me in a way, but I mean we were sexting at the same time. I don't know, you decide which is more weird. He also struggled with chronic depression. He was the kind of person that I was like, oh, these are the antidepressants I've been on. And he could be like, oh, yeah, these are the antidepressants I've been on. Like, oh, ha ha ha. I've attempted suicide this many times. Oh, me too. we had that kind of a friendship. So I became friends with him, and he was one of the people that told me my other friend Fred, like, that's emotionally manipulative, and like you shouldn't always feel that guilty if you can't talk to him, stuff like that. And then after Fred came DJ. DJ also I mentioned in my other video, like an actual homosexual gay guy. So he was kind of, I don't know how many of you have watched that show Queer as Folk. That's kind of what I imagine gay life is really like. He was the first gay guy I talked to who could confirm what is and isn't real from that show, like what actually is gay life like. He was married. He was like one of the first people I was ever friends with who was married, which is kind of strange. He also was someone who was constantly suicidal. He was somebody that I could text like during a panic attack, and like he would do the same for me. And he had like a lot of mental health problems, so he would like, I would always be there for him for all his stuff. And so it made like a really close connection for us, and it taught me a lot about like different forms of sexual assault people experience, different like responses to trauma, and like from him I learned what DBT is and CBT. Like I learned a lot from him. Yeah, he made comments about my relationship with like the Dom guy, cuz he was like, that's a really strange age difference. He's heterosexual, like, do you like that he sees you that way, that kind of thing. So yeah, I stopped being friends with that Fred guy. Eventually I stopped being friends with the Dom. And then I was friends with DJ. Like I mentioned in my last video, DJ helped me like notice things like people who were narcissistic in the trans community, and he was the person that like, if I saw somebody saying like die cis scum, I could like message him and be like, hey, you're cis, I love you, why are they like so hateful, or that kind of thing. Like if we saw people arguing about stuff that was clearly like actually enforcing rape culture instead of like being against it, we could message each other and be like, yo, what the fuck, we thought we were friends with these people and they're idiots. So we kind of together started being critical of the trans community, and he's the one that really helped me become gender critical. Through him I met two people. The first one is it was a childhood friend of his. She's like 2 years older than me. I'm gonna call her Lisa. She was detransitioned. She was a lesbian. She was still dysphoric. So for me, that was a big deal, because at the time I was a gender critical trans man. I had never met somebody who was, who had dysphoria and wasn't planning to transition. So that was a big deal for me. She also talked to me about how porn was used in a way to like exploit her, and how that had an effect on her previous relationships and like the assaults she had experienced. So that was something new that I learned. And she also coped a lot with like really bad anxiety, as I did. So again, I had somebody with anxiety that like I could relate to. And then my next friend, Sarah, was a close friend of Lisa's. She was a lesbian feminist. Yeah, she taught me a lot about being a lesbian feminist. So the people I'm still friends with are DJ and Lisa. Sarah actually is not a lesbian anymore. I don't know what's up with her. And since then, I've made more friends online in like the feminist community who've been important to me, but these are the people that really had an effect on me growing up and the way I saw the world. So I thought I'd just do a video about that. I think that online relationships can be very real, and they are very important, but it wasn't until I was like 21 that I realized I should have people that I trust this much and that I'm this close to in real life, so that when I'm having a panic attack, it's not just I text somebody and they reply to me, it's I tell somebody and they give me a hug after. It wasn't until I was 21 that I experienced that. Like, people I trusted that I could be friends with, IRL. So, if you're a young person watching this and you think your only real friends are your trans friends online, just find one person in real life and become a real friend with them. Show them your genuine, real self and see how that feels. Just make sure you don't live your whole life online. That's what I have to say. So thanks for watching. As always, comment with more ideas for videos. Bye.